Hey, this is Dev Riot, and I felt like giving you all a little update on the many different things that I've been working on during the last few weeks. I decided to take some more time to focus on my art as I have started to realize that I was really missing out on some fundamentals. Of course, I could have just settled with some basic art like I have been, and focused more on the gameplay aspects like I've stated in the past, but it was just not really working out like I wished it did. So first, I would like to show you all some of the actual game-oriented projects I've experimented on, and then show some of the work that I have done to put some more focus on art and animation in my projects. Now, if you all have seen the last devlog that I had uploaded, you would have seen that I was working on what I believed could have been an actual game. However, as with just about every project that I have made so far, I started to realize I just kind of lost motivation to continue with the project. I believe this to be due to having so many ideas in my head for other games that as I create all these flashy mechanics in my current projects, I feel more excited about those than rather what I'm actually working on. Anyways, despite this, I would like to show some of the rest of the work that I put into my Alien Invasion game before moving on, as I had implemented some mechanics that I plan on using in future games someday. For starters, I had worked with the particle system in Unity to add some more flair to the obstacles and to make them appear to be hovering. I did this simply by just having the rocks emit blue circles randomly in a sphere shape. Although basic, this gave me some very important insight on how to use these systems to make a more visually appealing game. Another thing that I use in my game was Unity's trail renderer, so that the bullets that are fired leave behind a tapered trail, again entirely for aesthetics. Other than the use of these systems, I had really only learned some more about how to utilize timing better, like how I can only fire 5 bullets, but that they would recharge every couple of seconds, or by how my jumping is more variable as I hold the jump button to make longer jumps. Now I would like to show one more somewhat significant project that I put some work into, what I called Core, which is a mobile game that I wanted to focus on boss battles and on unique attacks and the mechanics that go behind them. Core was my last project I worked on before deciding to change the way that I tackled game development, and one that I believed to be the most effective at actually being a game compared to everything I had made before it. With this game, I wanted to focus more on the battle/survival aspect of gaming with this project, as I have always found these types of games very enjoyable, and I thought at the time that it would help me keep my scope down and not make things too advanced for what I could handle. Alright, so I would like to show you guys a more live preview of my game here. There's a lot going on, so I feel like actually showing you guys live here will be the best way to explain all the things that I've changed. So the first thing that you probably noticed, the most obvious, is the art. As you can tell, in the scene preview here, it's pretty messy, but essentially this is due to the parallax scripts. So essentially, different parts of the background will move at different speeds. So if the player is moving at 1 speed, for example, this background right here would move at half that, and the clouds would move at half of that. And this creates just essentially 3D depth in the environment. As you could also, I created some very basic just things here for the platforms and some little assets on the side. Other than that, the bigger things that I have made in this game that were different from my others is my controller script. As you can tell, it's not attached to my player object. And the reason why I did that was in order to create a more dynamic feeling camera. So rather than just statically following the player, it actually has a little bit of a lag behind it. And as you can tell here with this script, I have some things set to speed and the offset, and this just makes the camera seem more dynamic. And as you could tell, a big thing that I've learned was that I can change its target too. So if I wanted to target the player, it would follow the player, or if I target the core, it would follow the core. And now, other than that, another thing that I have also worked on a lot was the boss battle and the attacks. So if we go to our let's see here, our prefabs and our attacks, as you can tell, I have a few different things here. I have a laser, projectile, eye, and walk eye. And essentially these are all handled by one major script here, which I will show in Visual Studio Code. As you can tell, we have a lot of timing stuff, a lot of carontines, or however you want to pronounce it. Essentially, oh, wrong thing. Here it is. So as you can tell, whenever the game starts, we start the carantine game countdown, which will just keep track of the time, and every stage, which I decided every 30 seconds is a new stage, it will spawn in something new. So if the current game time is 0, which is the first stage, as you can tell here, it will spawn in laser spawns, which is another quarantine to just constantly spawn these in. Then at stage 2, which is 30 seconds, it will spawn in 2 more projectiles, the eye and the walking eye, decrease the spawn of the laser time. And finally, the final stage, decrease both of them, spawn in more stuff, and destroy the core at the end. And essentially that was the big mechanic. I started focusing more on timing and stuff, as I feel like it's more flexible, especially for boss battles. It makes it seem more dynamic. And with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and actually play the game. I have my controller here. I actually kind of forgot the controls, so let's see. Yep, as you can tell, the camera here has a little bit of a lag behind it, and this is done purposely. And as you can tell now, we're on stage 1 if you see the debug log on the bottom, and the thing will essentially shoot lasers at me. Boop, and I try not to hit it. Okay, well, I hit it. But anyways, as you can tell, I also added a way to jump on through platforms, as you can tell here, and jump down. Oh, jump down. Okay, 1 second. So as you can tell, it's not perfect, but there you go. It works sometimes. And now we're on stage 2, so now it's spawning in the eyes, the walking eyes, and the projectile eyes. Okay, oh, it's actually a little difficult. And then when I die, as you can tell, it kind of laughs at you, and the camera switches to that position. Overall, I was pretty happy with this result. However, as a tale as old as time, I just lost motivation again to continue for one reason or another. But this time I believe I have found the answer to why. It's due to the huge disconnect between my imagination of the game and what my actual art and animation skills could actually do to somewhat recreate those. Using Unity's built-in animation tools are great, and they are pretty efficient in what they do. However, I just cannot shake the look of some of the more advanced animations, such as in Core, when the core's eye would blink. It just looks wrong to me and so static, like it just does not look very visually appealing. So I decided that I would look for more making artistic games using hand-drawn assets and animations, as I believe I already had some decent drawing skills already. Now, of course, Unity's built-in animation tools and me not being able to use them is totally probably a reason why they don't look so good. But I still felt like I need to have a basic idea of how to draw before I continue on with creating characters. My first biggest inspiration for a game's art style is through Cuphead, which many already know is a beautifully crafted game using the old style of late 1930s cartoons. They drew essentially what was every frame of a character's animation and moveset, which led to a need for a very large art team and plenty of development time. Although I am absolutely in love with Cuphead style, I have to shake that dream, because creating such a large project like this will probably mean that I will spend the next 3 decades of my life just to make something that would probably not even look very good. So what did I decide to do with all this knowledge? I decided to do some research online to learn how to draw characters and design them, and maybe even how to animate them. At the time, I thought it would be a little easier to do these things, especially with how I was already pretty familiar with drawing, but it definitely is a very advanced topic and is going to take plenty of time for me to get good at. Nonetheless, I proceeded and bought a couple of paperback books to help hone my art skills. These books being the Animator Survival Kit by Richard Williams and Creating Stylized Characters by 3D Total Publishing. I've only really just started to work on my art skills, and to complement my workflow alongside it, I bought an art tablet, the Huion H611, so that I could create digital art without using a mouse. So far, only having these books for about 2 weeks, they have really widened my horizons on how to make art and animation. Of course, this is going to take time and will probably mean that I'll have to put actual game development off so I could focus on this path. Your path may be a little bit different than mine, but this is the light at the end of the tunnel for me, and this hobby of mine. Overall, I'm happy with the way that I'm tackling game development personally, as I initially wanted to make games that I would be able to utilize my creativity on anyways. And although this new path of focusing on art may put off actual game development for me for just a little bit, this will end up with more quality products, and more importantly to me, ones that I'll be more motivated to finish. This has been DevRiot, and until next time, see ya.